When we talk about success, most people imagine a finish line, an award, a recognition, a moment when the world claps and says, "You've made it." But the real secret of success is that it doesn't live at the finish line at all. It begins in the messy, uncertain, vulnerable moments when you decide to show up. It begins when you step forward, not because you are guaranteed to win, but because something inside you whispers, "This matters." Success begins with courage, the courage to show up even when the outcome is uncertain. At its heart, courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to step forward despite it. Every meaningful pursuit in life carries with it a measure of risk, whether it's the risk of failure, rejection, or disappointment. Yet, without that first brave step into the unknown, nothing extraordinary can ever unfold. The truth is, certainty is often an illusion we cling to for comfort, but real growth and real success live in spaces where certainty does not exist. When you choose to show up even though the outcome is unclear, you make a powerful statement about who you are and what you stand for. It means you are willing to trust yourself enough to try, even if you might stumble. That act alone is a quiet victory. Too often, people wait for perfect conditions, the right timing, or guaranteed results before daring to begin. But waiting for certainty is another way of postponing life. Success does not come from waiting for guarantees. It comes from daring to act when you have none. The stories of the most remarkable achievements in history all carry the same theme. Someone stood at the edge of uncertainty and chose courage. It could be an artist who revealed their work to the world not knowing if anyone would understand it. An innovator who introduced an idea long before it was accepted, or a leader who made a choice without knowing if others would follow. None of them had certainty. What they did have was courage, and it was courage that opened the door to success. Courage is also the birthplace of resilience. When you step forward without guarantees, you inevitably encounter challenges. Some of your attempts will fail, some doors will close, and some paths will prove harder than you imagined. Yet, every time you choose to show up again, you build a deeper kind of strength. Courage teaches you that failure is not the end but part of the journey. Success is not built on avoiding mistakes. It is built on the willingness to learn, to adapt, and to continue moving forward in spite of them. There is also a freedom in showing up courageously. When you stop demanding certainty, you release yourself from the heavy burden of control. You allow space for possibility, for surprises, for outcomes beyond what you imagined. Success, in many ways, is not about clinging tightly to a planned result, but about creating opportunities through action and letting life respond. Courage is the key that unlocks those opportunities. At the end of the day, success is never handed to those who hide behind safety. It belongs to those who are brave enough to take the leap, to embrace uncertainty, and to trust that even if they fall, they will rise stronger. Every great journey begins not with a guarantee but with a choice, the choice to show up. And it is in that choice, repeated again and again, where the true foundation of success is built. Success is less about grand leaps and more about quiet, consistent steps. It is built day by day, choice by choice, habit by habit. The secret is not hidden in doing extraordinary things once. It's in doing the ordinary things faithfully. It's in the practice, the discipline, the willingness to try again when yesterday didn't go as planned. Those small, seemingly invisible efforts add up, and they create a strength that can't be shaken. True success is built on consistency in small, meaningful actions over time. It is tempting to believe that success arrives in a single breakthrough moment, as if one bold leap or dramatic decision is enough to transform everything. But when we look closely at the lives of those who have built lasting impact, we find a different truth. It is not the grand gestures, but the steady, repeated steps that carry the greatest weight. Success grows quietly in the background, nurtured by habits that often seem too simple to matter at first glance. Consistency is the bridge between vision and reality. You may have a dream so vivid that you can almost touch it, but without the willingness to show up for it day after day, it will remain an idea. Small actions taken consistently create momentum, and momentum compounds. Like drops of water carving through stone, repeated effort has the power to create transformation. It might not feel significant in the moment, but over time it becomes undeniable. The person who writes a single page every day ends up with a book. The one who practices a skill daily becomes a master. The secret is never in one act of brilliance, but in showing up again and again, especially when no one is watching. The beauty of small actions is that they are accessible. You don't need to overhaul your life in one sweeping motion to create success. What matters is choosing actions that align with your values and goals and committing to them faithfully. When you honor these small commitments, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted. This builds a deeper kind of confidence, not the fleeting confidence that comes from external praise, but the grounded confidence that grows from knowing you keep your promises to yourself. Consistency also teaches patience. In a world that often glorifies instant results, it takes strength to accept that meaningful outcomes unfold slowly. The garden doesn't bloom the day it's planted. Seeds must be watered, soil must be tended, and time must be given for roots to grow deep. The same is true with success. You may not see visible progress each day, but beneath the surface, change is taking place. The accumulation of small efforts becomes visible only after enough time has passed for them to reveal their impact. There will be days when the actions feel tedious, when progress feels invisible, when it seems easier to stop. But it is precisely in those moments that consistency matters most. Choosing to keep going even when it feels inconvenient or unrewarding strengthens your character and builds resilience. Success is not about never missing a step, but about returning to your path with commitment, even after setbacks. In the end, true success does not come from one dramatic act or sudden opportunity. It is born in the quiet rhythm of daily effort, in the small but intentional choices that align with who you want to become. Over time, these actions shape not only your achievements, but your identity. You are no longer someone chasing success. You are someone living it one consistent step at a time. Another secret is vulnerability. Most of us are taught that to succeed we must always appear strong, confident, and in control. But the truth is, vulnerability is where real growth begins. To admit that you don't have all the answers, to risk failure in pursuit of something meaningful, to open your heart even when rejection is possible, that is the kind of bravery that shapes success. Without it, we may achieve tasks, but we won't truly expand. Vulnerability is not a weakness, but the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and growth. For many, the word vulnerability carries a sense of exposure, of risk, of being seen without the armor we usually wear. We are taught to equate strength with control, certainty, and perfection, and to avoid anything that makes us appear fragile. Yet the paradox is clear. The very things that open the door to real progress in life come from the willingness to stand in that exposed place. Vulnerability is the soil where new possibilities take root. To create something new, whether it is an idea, a piece of art, a relationship, or a way of living, we must first step into uncertainty. There is no guarantee that others will accept what we offer, no promise that our efforts will succeed, no shield against criticism or failure. This is where many people stop, because they mistake this exposure for weakness. But it is in this very space of uncertainty that innovation lives. Every invention, every discovery, every breakthrough has required someone to risk looking foolish, to face the unknown, and to step beyond the safety of what is familiar. Without vulnerability, nothing original can emerge. Creativity itself is an act of vulnerability. To share an idea or a vision is to reveal a part of yourself, to let the world see what matters deeply to you. There is always the chance that it will be misunderstood or dismissed. and yet choosing to express it anyway is what allows beauty and originality to exist. The most powerful works, the ones that move people and shape culture, are born from those who dared to let themselves be seen, unpolished and real. Vulnerability does not diminish creativity, it fuels it. Growth, too, is inseparable from vulnerability. To grow means to step into territory where you are not yet skilled, not yet certain, not yet comfortable. It means risking mistakes, risking the discomfort of not knowing, risking the humility of being a beginner again. Without vulnerability, we remain stuck in the safety of what we already know, and that safety eventually becomes a cage. True growth requires us to stretch, to fall, to rise again, and to learn in the process. Every lesson gained along the way is made possible by the willingness to be open to failure and discomfort. Far from being weakness, vulnerability demands immense courage. It takes strength to stand in front of others with your heart exposed, to risk rejection in the pursuit of authenticity, to create something new without any assurance of success. Vulnerability is not the absence of power, it is the channel through which true power flows. It transforms fear into possibility, silence into expression, and failure into wisdom. When we embrace vulnerability, we unlock the doors to innovation, creativity, and growth. It is the brave act of choosing to be seen, of choosing to try, of choosing to live fully despite uncertainty. And in that space, we discover that vulnerability was never weakness at all, but the hidden strength that allows us to create, to evolve, and to thrive. And we cannot talk about success without talking about connection. No one builds a fulfilling life alone. The secret is not competition, it's collaboration. It's the willingness to trust, to empathize, and to lean on others when the weight feels too heavy. Success is richer when it's shared, when it contributes to something larger than ourselves. Connection with others, through trust, empathy, and collaboration, creates the foundation for lasting achievement. No matter how talented, determined, or disciplined an individual may be, success that endures is rarely built alone. Human beings are wired for connection, and the strength of the bonds we create often determines the depth and sustainability of our accomplishments. When trust forms the foundation of relationships, when empathy guides our interactions, and when collaboration becomes our way of working, we unlock a kind of power that goes beyond what any single person can achieve. Trust is the cornerstone of meaningful connection. Without trust, even the most brilliant ideas struggle to take root because people hesitate to share openly, to risk vulnerability, or to depend on one another. Trust allows individuals to bring their whole selves into their work, knowing they will be respected and valued. It fosters environments where mistakes are seen as part of the process, where people feel safe enough to take risks, and where loyalty grows naturally. With trust, relationships deepen and shared goals become more attainable because everyone believes in the integrity of the collective effort. Empathy enriches these connections by allowing us to step into the perspective of another. To empathize is to listen not only with ears but with the heart, to acknowledge the feelings and struggles of others as real and valid. When empathy is present, people feel understood, and that understanding creates a bond stronger than any contract or agreement. Empathy transforms competition into cooperation, suspicion into support, and isolation into belonging. It reminds us that the path to achievement is not only about reaching a destination, but about walking together in a way that honors the humanity of each person along the way. Collaboration then becomes the natural outcome of trust and empathy. Collaboration is not merely dividing tasks, but bringing together diverse strengths and perspectives to create something greater than the sum of its parts. It requires humility because it asks us to recognize that our own ideas are not always complete on their own. It requires openness because it thrives on the exchange of different viewpoints. And it requires patience because working with others is often more complex than working alone. Yet, within that complexity lies the potential for breakthroughs that no individual could achieve in isolation. Collaboration builds resilience into any effort because when challenges arise, the group draws strength from its unity rather than collapsing under pressure. Lasting achievement grows out of this web of trust, empathy, and collaboration. When people feel valued and supported, they are more willing to give their best. When relationships are built on honesty and compassion, conflicts can be resolved in ways that strengthen rather than weaken the connection. When successes are shared, they become more meaningful because they are not only personal victories but collective triumphs. The foundation of enduring success is not the brilliance of one individual standing alone, but the strength of many standing together. Connection is what turns fleeting accomplishments into legacies. There will always be failure along the way. The difference between those who create meaningful success and those who stop is not that one group never falls, it's that they learn how to rise. Resilience is the quiet decision to get back up, to carry the lessons of the fall forward, and to keep going even when the path is hard. That's not weakness, that's strength in its purest form. Resilience is not about never falling, but about learning, rising, and carrying wisdom from the fall. Too often, we are taught to equate strength with perfection, as if true resilience means never being knocked down, but life itself proves otherwise. No matter how strong, skilled, or prepared we are, challenges come. Failure arrives, plans crumble. What defines us is not the fact that we fall, but what we choose to do after the fall. Resilience is not immunity from pain or difficulty. It is the deep capacity to move through it, to rise again, and to carry forward the lessons that hardship has offered. Every fall has something to teach us if we are willing to listen. When we stumble, we confront the limits of what we know, the edges of our comfort, and the gaps in our preparation. It can be humbling to face failure, but humility is fertile ground for growth. Mistakes reveal where we need to adapt, and setbacks often illuminate a better path than the one we first imagined. To be resilient is to shift our perspective on failure, not as evidence of inadequacy, but as a necessary part of becoming wiser, stronger, and more capable. Rising after a fall is an act of courage. It is easy to give in to the weight of disappointment or to let shame convince us to stay down, but each time we rise, we affirm our belief in possibility. We affirm that the fall does not define the end of the story, but a turning point in it. Rising is not always immediate or graceful. Sometimes it is slow, sometimes messy, sometimes accompanied by doubt. Yet every rise strengthens the spirit. Each comeback, no matter how small, builds the inner confidence that we can endure and that we are not broken by the challenges we face. Resilience is also about carrying the wisdom of the fall with us. To simply rise without reflection is to miss the gift hidden in the difficulty. The pain of the fall is not wasted when it informs the way we move forward. It teaches us patience, empathy, perseverance, and adaptability. It deepens our understanding of ourselves and others. It allows us to walk with greater compassion because we know what it feels like to be vulnerable and uncertain. Carrying this wisdom turns hardship into a source of strength, not only for ourselves but for those we encounter along the way. In truth, resilience is not about becoming unshakable. It is about becoming flexible enough to bend without breaking, open enough to learn from the pain, and brave enough to rise again. To fall is part of being human, to rise, and to carry forward the lessons that only difficulty can teach, is what transforms hardship into growth. Resilience is the quiet, steady power that keeps us moving, not because we are untouched by struggle, but because we have discovered how to rise from it with greater wisdom and strength. And finally, the most overlooked secret of success is alignment. You can climb every mountain, achieve every milestone, and still feel empty if your path isn't tied to your values and purpose. Success is not about chasing someone else's definition. It's about living in a way that feels true to you. When your actions match your heart, success stops being something you chase and becomes something you embody. The secrets of success are not hidden at all. They are woven into the choices we make each day to show up, to stay consistent, to be vulnerable, to connect, to rise again, and to live in alignment with what truly matters. And when we lean into these, success ceases to be a destination. It becomes a way of living. Success is not measured only by external rewards, but by living in alignment with your values and purpose. The world often tells us that success is about recognition, wealth, or status, but these markers, while they can be satisfying, are fleeting when they stand alone. A life that looks successful from the outside can feel hollow from the inside if it is not anchored in what truly matters to you. Real success is not about achieving everything society applauds. It is about creating a life that reflects who you are at your core, a life that feels honest, meaningful, and whole. When you live in alignment with your values, you are guided by an inner compass rather than external noise. Values are the principles that define what matters most to you: integrity, compassion, growth, love, justice, or creativity. They are the threads that hold together your sense of identity. To live by them means that your choices, both big and small, reflect those truths. The world may not always reward you for this, but the deeper reward is the peace that comes from knowing you are living authentically. You are not chasing someone else's definition of success. You are embodying your own. Purpose, too, is essential to this deeper form of success. Purpose is the why behind what you do, the larger meaning that gives direction to your days. It does not have to be something grand or world-changing in scale. It can be as simple as contributing kindness, nurturing others, or creating beauty in whatever form you can. Purpose transforms effort into fulfillment because it connects your actions to something larger than yourself. When your daily work and choices are aligned with your purpose, even the smallest tasks feel significant. External rewards can certainly accompany this kind of life, but they are no longer the ultimate measure. They become byproducts rather than the foundation. A person can be celebrated publicly yet feel empty if their life strays from their values, while another can live quietly, unknown to many, yet feel profoundly successful because their life is steeped in integrity and purpose. The difference is alignment. Without it, achievements lose their meaning. With it, even modest accomplishments carry deep fulfillment. Living this way requires courage because it often means choosing paths that others may not understand. It asks you to say no to opportunities that look impressive but conflict with your values. It asks you to persevere in directions that matter deeply to you, even if they do not bring immediate recognition. This alignment is not always easy, but it brings a kind of joy that external markers alone can never provide. In the end, true success cannot be measured solely by applause, titles, or wealth. It is measured by whether you can look at your life and know that it reflects who you really are. Success is found in the quiet confidence of living aligned with your values, in the fulfillment that comes from honoring your purpose, and in the inner peace of knowing that your definition of success is your own.